We're now going to turn to former Assistant Director for Counterintelligence at the FBI and MSNBC Senior National Security Analyst Frank Figliuzzi. Frank, so earlier today, we just heard Mayor Adams suggest that they actually do know the suspect's name, but they don't want to release it because they don't want to tip him off. What is your take on that? Is that a good call? And what do you think is next for this investigation that now seems to be expanding far beyond New York?
Hi, Christina. I'm so glad that you're focusing on this. I've read the transcript of Mayor Adams' comments today twice now, and they're perplexing. They're perplexing because he's essentially saying, we know this guy's name, but we don't want him to know that we know his name, so we're not going to say his name because we think that would give him an advantage. Well, what Mayor Adams has essentially said today is, we have his name, and he's told the suspect, we have your name, but we don't want to give you a tactical advantage to tell you that we have your name. So he's given him the tactical advantage. So this is a head scratcher for me. And I have to tell you, I'm a big believer in crowdsourcing crime solving. The more you know, unless there are overriding tactical reasons, you should be sharing. And if they have his name, that means they have all kinds of photos of him that come with knowing someone's name, a driver's license, social media photos, employment access badge photo. That's there. So if they don't lay hands on him very soon, you're going to see the photos come out that are crystal clear and could be matched using facial recognition. So this idea of not giving him an advantage by not saying his name is telling him you have his name. So where we go from here, I think they're very close. Look, you've got everything from DNA to perhaps partial fingerprints. There's probably a treasure trove perhaps in that backpack that was recovered. And quite honestly, this guy's been missing now for about 2 weeks. His friends, his relatives, his coworkers, they know he's missing. They know he's been leaking his grievances about this insurance company. And someone is talking to the police at this point.
Well, and also, I mean, we may not know his name and we may not know who that guy is in the picture, but if you know that guy, you know who he is by that picture. That is a recognizable face if that's someone you're familiar with. You mentioned the backpack that they picked up in Central Park. I want to ask you about that because it was taken to an NYPD crime lab, for inspection. What evidence are investigators hoping to get? How long do those results usually take? And when do you think they're going to let the public know what they found?
So over the course of the last few years, forensic science has advanced exponentially. The ability to pull DNA off of items like this, you can actually find a match and develop a profile for DNA in an hour. That's astronomically fast. Same goes for latent fingerprints, if there's anything on there. But hey, in an ideal world, maybe that backpack contains some writing. Maybe he's telling us why he did this. Maybe there's an ID in there. Maybe there's even hair and fiber. They will be going over that in the laboratory all day and all night until they totally exploit that forensically.
Given everything we've just talked about, they have his face, they say they have his name, even though they're not releasing it to the public. They know, it seems they seem to know how he left New York City. Do you think they know where he is, or is it just a matter of the U.S. is a very large country and there's a lot of places that you could be, tucking away in for a couple weeks?
So I think there's the very fact that they've got detectives on the ground in Atlanta is intriguing. We know that Greyhound bus route at least started in Atlanta, but it's notable that we aren't hearing that there are detectives on the ground in other locations. There's at least a dozen stops for that bus on the route all the way up to New York, but yet we're hearing they're in Atlanta. I think that's significant. And again, the state of facial recognition in our country is really advanced. And so the ability to match some known photo, again, once you've got a guy's identity, you put him in your facial recognition system, it's going to come up. It could be a photo on Facebook from a birthday party, but he's going to come up. So that, I think, indicates they're much closer to a location.
This is always a constant fear of mine, Facebook photos being, searched by the police. But listen, the NYPD says it's received hundreds of tips from the public, and they're encouraging anyone with information that they think could lead to finding the killer, to contact them. They're offering $10,000 as a reward, and they're getting more than triple the amount of tips for this kind of case. Is the department really equipped to deal with that many tips, running those down, sorting out the people who just want to be involved from the people who actually might know something? How do you do that? And do they have the capacity to filter through all of that and find what useful information might be there?
Yeah, latest information I have is that the FBI is now involved and has added $50,000 in reward money to that. What's the significance of the FBI involvement? That capacity to handle thousands of tips through a tip line. That technology is there. The human resources are there at the FBI. And now they're looking for matches. So those people who answer the phones or the emails on a tip line, they're saying, hey, look, if you get anything that has to do with Atlanta or whatever the detectives have developed, that goes to the top of the pile running down. And keep in mind, there's also close coordination at United Healthcare corporate security going over all of the complaint letters, the threatening emails, the phone calls. All of those are kept in a file, so they're looking to cross-reference with those threats.